everybody! So this week we are at our 25th animated film from Walt Disney Animation Studios in our Disney Canon rewatch. And we are looking at the sort of controversial film, The Black Cauldron. This was a film that came out in 1985 that was very loosely based on the Chronicles of Pyrrhidon by Lloyd Alexander. Very loosely, evidently, based on those books. And it is notorious for being one of the biggest, not only the biggest flops of Disney history, but one of the biggest movie flops of all time. And if you think about it, they had basically been spending about 4 years at least, if not more than that, in making the movie, because 1981 was the last Disney animated classic in Fox and the Hound, and now in 1985. And there was just all kinds of madness. There's reports that Jeffrey Katzenberg ordered these dramatic edits to the film to remove some of the graphic, more dark content and to make it shorter in length. And, you know, I'd be really curious if they ever released the actual longer version of it, just to see what it would be like, because it does feel sort of messy as far as the editing. There are definitely sections where you're like, what? How did they get here? What's going on? And so, yeah, I have to say, a lot of people have this at the bottom of their, like, they think it's the worst Disney animated film of all time. And I don't think it's that bad. And I think that for a certain type of person that you could really like it, because it's sort of weird and different. And it's kind of become somewhat of a cult classic in a way. And so, yeah, it's definitely in the bottom. It's quadrant of Disney animated films. There's no doubt about it. But I don't think that it's without value. So let me talk about some things I like. So it's about this boy named Taran who dreams of doing great things. And one of the problems that the movie has is that Taran doesn't really want to do great things. He wants to be famous. He wants to be heralded. He wants to be praised. And that's sort of his dream, is the applause, not particularly doing the great thing, which I think makes him kind of an unlikable character. He's not really in it for the right reasons. And I don't think he has necessarily enough growth as a character to really change that. That's sort of still his desire. But it starts out with him, he's working as sort of farmer type thing, farmer's aide kind of thing, who has, and this particular farmer has this pig who is a prophet, this pig. He looks into water and he sees the future. And so that's sort of different. This pig named Henwin, so they get this word that this horned king is after the pig, because they want to find out where the Black Cauldron is, because the Black Cauldron is the home of all of this power. It's capable of creating this army of undead warriors that can be invincible. And so the horned king really wants the Black Cauldron, and so they want to find the pig so the pig can tell them where the Black Cauldron is. And so they send off Taran with the pig to get him to safety from the Horned King. And it was probably not a wise decision to send Taran, because he immediately loses the pig in like minutes of going off on his journey. And so then he's after trying to look and find the pig, who of course is with the Horned King. And the Horned King is pretty cool design. He has a pretty good vocal performance from John Hurt. And so he's menacing, he's scary, and I love the visuals. The animation is so pretty, as far as there's just so much texture to the stones and to the walls and to I love the watercolor look that you see throughout the film. It looks beautiful. So it definitely has that going for it. And so they end up finding Taran and they put him in the dungeon, but it turns out there's also this Princess Eloanwe, anyway, I don't know how you say it, but anyway, she's down there, and it's sort of weird because she's just sort of like, I'm going to escape now. You want to come? And that's part of the problem of this film, is there aren't enough sort of real like challenges to the characters, and there's not enough real tension, because like, just as an example, he needs, like in most stories, like the finding of a magical sword would be a really like big part of a story. And in this, he literally kind of walks by it and sees it and gets it. Like, there's no tension. There's nothing hard that makes it difficult. And it's kind of the same way with the escape. Like, there's a few things that try to stop them, and a few guards and stuff like that, but it's pretty easy to escape. And, it's just sort of like, why didn't she do it sooner? There's Fluterflam, I guess. Yeah, then there's this guy named Fluterflam, who is an actor, who is kind of funny. It's voiced by Nigel Hawthorne, and he ends up going with them. And then you also have Gurgi, who is voiced, it sounds just like Donald Duck.
Ooh, great Prince. Give poor starving Gurgi munchings and crunchings. Nice apple. Good Prince, good apple. Oh boy, what a juicy apple.
Hey, no you don't.
I don't know what kind of creature Gurgi is, but he is probably my favorite thing in the movie, even though I hate his voice. I just think it's so distracting that he sounds like Donald. I don't know why they picked that voice to voice this character, but he's the only one that I think has a real story arc and really grows through the course of the movie. At first, he's just kind of this pestering companion, and then he sort of grows and changes. Well, they end up going to try to find the Black Cauldron. They have the sword now, and you kind of get a pretty long way away from the Horned King, and they end up finding the Black Cauldron with these witches, these 3 witches who are, there's these fairies that I think are kind of cute. They're okay. And then there's these 3 witches. One is very, very bosomy, which I thought was sort of an odd design for Disney. And they end up making this deal that they swap the sword for the cauldron. That the cauldron the powers of the cauldron can only be undone by the sacrifice of a willing person who gives up for the good of his friends. Horned King ends up getting a hold of the Black Cauldron from Taran and from the band of friends. King starts to make his army of the undead. And that's really great animation. It's really beautiful. It looks like sort of layers of cellophane on top of each other. And then in order to save everybody from this army of the undead, Gurgi decides to make a sacrifice for his friends, and he jumps into the Black Cauldron. And it's really actually kind of a moving moment if you can get past the Donald Duck voice. And he's willing to sacrifice for his friends. But the problem is they kind of undo it. And, it sort of just ends on sort of this patsy way, and you're supposed to buy this relationship between Eloanwe and Taran, which never really developed. And the problem is just Taran never really learns enough, and he's still kind of seeking glory for kind of too long. He's sort of, at the end, he feels bad about what happened to Gurgi, but it's just not quite enough of a growth for a character. It's not like the Little Mermaid, for instance, where yes, maybe she does start off a little bit selfish, but by the end, she is devastated by what's happening and what's going on with her father and with everything like that. And you just never feel that kind of level of emotion with Taran. And so that's part of the problem, is his motivations to start out the quest are kind of weak, and I don't really see the growth in him that you need. And Eloanwe is a throwaway character. She does not need to be a princess. There's nothing, it's not like they ever talk about her people missing her or people looking for her or anything to do with her kingdom or being a princess. There's no reason for her to be a princess. The Horned King is pretty cool, but he's not in it that much. But he's okay. And I think Flam, whatever you say his name, he's kind of fun. I like Gurgi, except for I hate his voice. So it has some positive elements. It has some good things. But when your lead character isn't very likable and the story as a whole, it's just too easy, especially for this kind of epic story. It should not be someone walks by a sword, takes the sword, and that's it. It's just not... It's not that good. But it does have great music from Elmer Bernstein, and it, like I said, it looks beautiful. So as an animation fan, it is fun to kind of watch, and I don't hate it. I just don't. I don't think it's horrible, but I don't think it's particularly good either. So for me, I give the Black Cauldron, it's tough. Tough. I give the Black Cauldron I give the Black Cauldron a C-. I don't think it is unwatchable like a lot of other people seem to think. So yeah, that's my grade. But let me know what you think about the Black Cauldron. Do you think it's underrated? Do you think I'm being too nice on it? What do you think? Please put in the comment section, and thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you later.